Meeting to order. So pursuant to remote attendance pursuant to state executive orders 2020-07 and 2020-18, which temporarily suspend the in-person presence requirements. The additional text can be found in the agenda. So I do need a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll move to approve the agenda.
Hi, Susan.
Hi.
Second.
All right, so we are doing a approval of the agenda. We just started, so I'll go through the roster. So Kate?
Yes.
Carl?
Yes.
Susan?
Yes.
And Samantha, yes. Okay, so we've got the minutes are next. Did everybody have a chance to read through them?
Yep.
All right, any discussion or anything like that? Okay, so we'll go ahead and change this gallery. Okay, so so I will take a motion to approve the minutes for March 4th, 2021.
I so move.
Okay. Need a second?
I'll second.
All right. So Kate?
Yes.
Carl?
Yes.
Susan?
Yes.
And Samantha, yes. Okay. So are there any public comments, Rick?
None.
Okay. And written communication from the public?
None.
Okay. So we'll move on to new business. Personnel update?
I think it's since the last committee meeting, we've had two people, two civil service staff move up. Robert Davis, part-time page, moved up to part-time clerk, and Janet Denton, longtime library clerk 1, moved up to library clerk 2. Aside from that, nothing to report. We were not, those are straight promotions. We are not backfilling the positions.
Okay. Cool. Questions? All right, so we'll move on to the meeting room policy. We talked about it a little bit at the full board meeting. And so we had said that we'd send it to this committee to review.
Did everybody see my follow-up email from later that same day? We have never said no to individual use of the meetings as long as it falls within our policy. But it's always been for people who are conducting something, some kind of group, some kind of talk, and back then everybody paid. So, we charged a fee. Well, last year you guys voted to remove the fees for not-for-profit and community organizations. And it just hasn't come up since then. And as we're beginning to work towards making those meeting rooms available to the public again, it was asked of me, hey, why can't I, have a meeting room for a while? Why can't I book a meeting room for a while to work on a scrapbook or something? Or why can't I, a friend and I go in and work on a scrapbook? So I looked at the policy and it wasn't clear to me whether that falls within the intentions of the board or not. So that's the summary. I don't necessarily think it's a bad idea. I just want to make sure that we're following the intent of the board.
So did we want to at least take out the language and individuals in the community and then make a separate area for individuals if that's the way we want to go? Because individuals wouldn't have the same requirements of the other as a organization, or maybe it would, I don't know.
Well, that first sentence mentions individuals and the rest of the policy seems to only refer to organizations. And that's where I wasn't sure whether.
I feel it does look like this policy is drafted more for like to govern organizations wanting to, and I'm not against like individuals using the rooms, but maybe we need, if we're okay with that, we need policies directed towards individuals.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that either. Because I mean, I think right now we could potentially remove that text, just strike the and individuals, because like Rick said, it's not mentioned anywhere else in the policy itself. So, but then we could add some language about individuals. But I guess I'm not clear on how we assume that this would go. Like if we do, you know,
Like if
Are
we
we
just
gonna-
allowed
are we-
individuals.
yeah, are we still going to charge them? Are we still going to, is it kind of like, well, if it's not in use, you could use it? And we post, you know, who has access to the rooms? Like, Rick, did you find out from like Warrensburg if they charge people for, like, if they charge Charlotte for that?
You know, I didn't, and I can just check their policy right quick if it's available online.
I would find that surprising if they did. I mean, if they wanted to take over the Madden, like that's a kind of a, I feel like maybe, I don't know.
Like maybe if we designated like smaller rooms or gave preference to organizations. Or
Does it say here anywhere what the cost is?
It's $50.
Well, we don't. I can provide you that with that, but you know, that's an important question to ask, because that's kind of part of what it boils down to here is you guys voted last year to eliminate the fees for not-for-profit organizations, not-for-profit or community organizations. We didn't make it, they had to be a 501c3 or anything like that. So ostensibly, you know, a ham radio operators club could meet at the library. But why, if they can do that for free, why, you know, and we're okay with giving a room to an individual, why would we charge the individual?
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
I can't see that either. Like I kind of consider it almost a kind of a study room, even though it's like larger than a study room. Like it's a full space. 'Cause our rooms aren't small. Like,
No,
the
I
meeting
mean, it could be restricted. So, I mean, this could be a temporary problem. I mean, if we, you know, building committee meets next week,
Right.
and there's a lot of decisions, a lot of work to do on that. But every bit of our space plan, each plan from the most ambitious to the least ambitious plan has individual study rooms in it.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, we've got to decide what we're going to do. And what we could do, just that, you know, something to think about, is say, you know, that is individual use is, you know, put some limitations on it as to the where and when. Maybe it's, you know, you know, the boardroom only, or maybe it's the Staley only, and, you know, X number of times a year or whatever. I don't know whether, I have no idea what the demand will be, because again, we've always charged. So that kind of makes people go, well, I don't want it I'm not going to pay. I just want to sit down and, you know, work on my stamp collection. I don't want to, you know, pay $50 to do that.
right.
So it's just, and it's one of those, it's an unanticipated, I think, aspect of the making it free.
So, I mean,
because to me, this policy seems like it's like kind of a community service to allow organizations that don't have their own space to have a meeting space, you know?
yeah.
So then it's
I mean,
the
and that
issue of letting individuals do private things is different than what this policy does, which
It
is
does.
fine, but you know.
it does specifically say, you know, no social events.
Mm-hmm.
So then how do you, you know, no private social functions. So how do you define that? And people have gotten around that by telling us that, you know, a book signing turned out to really be a birthday party one time. Again, I don't know what it would look like. I don't know what kind of demand there would be. It's just, I want to make sure that we are executing this the way the board intends. And what I'm hearing is that it probably didn't occur to you guys any more than it did to me, that now there'll be now individuals will want to come and use it.
So I just super quick looked at Warrensburg, and they have like certain rooms that are available, and it looks like they do charge some fees, like $10 an hour, or like for some of them 10, 25, 50.
Well, that may be, it almost, yeah, I mean, it almost might be necessary, or you at least put some restrictions like on the number of times that any one individual could use it, because you don't want somebody coming in every day and booking up a room, you know.
Right.
You know, and we put, even on organizations, we say 12 times a year.
Because we have tables that are fairly like, they're fairly like private. They're not private, but they're not located like next to, you know, loud areas.
I mean, just my own opinion. I would stick to, you know, organizations or those types of functions. If we want to say something about, you know, in the future, you know, if we have individual rooms, they may be booked by individuals, but I just don't see opening us up for this. I don't even know how much of a problem it would be, really, but.
And I don't either.
Well, and we could, I mean, I don't know, it could be tested out with, you know, a room. I don't know. This, like one room, there's one room that we can do this in, because, you know, like it might not be a problem. And I mean, I think we can keep this policy the same, strike that language, and then create a separate policy.
We can do whatever you guys want to do on this. I don't have a dog in this hunt, because I don't know what the demand is going to be.
Well, and we don't want it to be more like complicated than it actually really should be either. Like,
sure. And I think restricting it to, you know, restricting it to a single room, and if you're going to do it, I think there should be some restrictions as to where and how many times, either per year or month, or however you guys want to approach it. But, you know, let's say we do, you know, get some remodeling done in the next few years, and we add a bunch of private study rooms. We're going to have a policy for those too. You know, we're going to have some kind of policy for you. So you're just going to have the same 10 people come and camp out in them all day.
Right. And I know that like there are definitely policies for that in other libraries.
Sure. Yeah. And we can, and I can go hunt around and see not just neighboring libraries, but let's see what other libraries about our size are doing with this kind of thing, and come back to you guys too. It's not like this is one individual asked me this, and she's a friend of this library. You know,
right.
she's a volunteer, and I told her I'd bring it before the board, and because I didn't know when she asked me, I just didn't know what.
Yeah, no, it's a fair point. I think we could go ahead and just take it to the board with the striking of the language. Let's do a little bit more research, and
I will
be, you know, like I don't even know. And the other thing is, like, we don't know what the meeting room use is right now. It's not non-existent. So,
Yeah, we're going to talk in a couple weeks and, you know, see where we are COVID wise then and talk about like slowly beginning. I have, just as an FYI, I have allowed the health department to hold staff meetings here.
right.
I figured if anybody, any outside organization can be trusted to follow COVID policy, it ought to be the health department. We are, you know, and then we have the one program going on with a longtime partner who worked very closely with us to develop it, do it slowly, and that's the tax prep. But I'm considering having some small, you know, library in-house programs, and then even open it up to a couple of our smaller organizations, for-profit organizations that have really small, like we rent to a fingerprinting company, and they only have one person in there at a time. And I've seen their own COVID policy, this company's COVID policy, and it's pretty strict. So we're going to consider opening that, you know, opening up some small things.
Yeah. So, I mean,
So we'll find out, is what I'm saying.
Right.
Hopefully in the very near future.
okay. So are we okay with that? Just basically we'd strike the and individuals basically out of the current policy, just to clear up confusion for the next meeting. And then, you know, this doesn't have to, like, we can do more research on how we want to move forward.
I think if so, there would probably need to be a formal a vote from this committee to recommend that to the full board.
Yes, that's where I was going next. So I will take a motion to strike the language, and we can work on an individual policy later.
I'll move.
Second.
All right. So we'll do all in favor. So Kate,
Yes.
Carl,
Yes.
Susan,
Yes.
Samantha, yes. All right. Passes. So other discussion, is there anything else?
Not for me.
Okay, so old business, so Board of Trustees bylaws. So hopefully everybody had a chance to look at Rick's revisions. I think they're great. I think it's very clear. I did see your concerns at the end. So
Yeah, there were a couple of other things as I worked through it again today that stood out to me. Let me share my screen. So this I just need to check. I mean, you guys do the file the form for financial disclosure, and I just don't know when that's due. I'll have to look at that.
it's around
May
May.
1st.
I think it probably is a state thing. So did I add today? Let's see. All right. This language about committee meetings, I think can be struck, and then just put the regular monthly meetings of the board and board committees, because we established those at the beginning of the year. We don't schedule them as needed. They're monthly.
Yep.
I thought we could strike this. So an annual communication shall be sent to the local press informing them of the schedule of the monthly meetings, because the law says that if they request that we send it to them. You know, if we want to put the additional, if we want to put that on us to do, we can, but it can be struck. Right now, here's what the local paper does. They just look at our website and publish it. Let's see. This one. Oh, I wasn't sure that this was clear as written. this right here under Article 10, amendments to these bylaws may be proposed at any regular meeting of the board and shall become effective when adopted by a majority vote of the board at a subsequent meeting. I think there's a subordinate clause out of place or something, because what is intended is that you guys can vote to change the bylaws, but they can't be enacted during the same meeting that you vote on them. They don't become effective. So, the example that often comes up is you can't say, there's a person who wants to make a public comment that you might not like. So you vote that public comments are now just 1 minute and it starts today. You can't, that can't be done. It has to wait till the next meeting. And then that was it those were the additional things that I noted today.
So you didn't talk that all pertinent dates shall be set forth in the board calendar. Or are you just saying like we don't really have a board calendar?
Yes.
Okay.
I think where you note what's missing, we have those in our bylaws now, correct?
Correct. Yes.
So we could just, unless we want to change, you know what I mean? Like move those from our current bylaws to this draft or work it in somehow.
Yeah, I wondered about number 6 and number 1 if they needed to be in the board bylaws, because there's a job description for the city librarian. Does it need to be the city librarian is not a member of the board? Does it, I'm just not sure that needs to be in there. It's fine if you want them in there. And maintenance of the records of the board, that's governed by Illinois state law. And so that's again up to you guys if you want to also put it in your bylaws. But I could, yes, pull the things from the pertinent from our current bylaws and put them in there. But those would just be.
I think number 1, like if we already have the job description in a separate document, I don't think we need it in the bylaws.
Yeah.
We do need the responsibilities of the trustees, because then that is also clear to anyone who's reading this what our job is. Because if you think about, just if I wasn't on this board, I'd be like, what do you do? What? So I do think that's helpful for people who are reviewing this information if they do. And it's helpful for new members too, new board trustees or prospective trustees. For sure, rules of electronic participation, rules for public comment. I don't think it hurts to have the grounds for removal of trustee, because what if it happens?
Yeah.
I can't imagine.
Well, and to that point, in our current bylaws, we have, let's see, I think we have grounds for removal for officers and like parameters for resignation of officers. I think we should keep those, just because if something happens, we know what to do. We're not just making it up as we go.
Mm-hmm.
Right, because we've done that before. Like, not necessarily in relation to like officers or, but just other situations. So,
Yeah, I could just pull all that out and put it back in. And if there's any other language changes you guys want to make, we can, there's not unless you guys think there's not a huge hurry on this, I can bring it, take your suggestions, bring it back to committee next month, or just present it to full board this month. It's you guys' call. It's just, it's complicated, and I don't, there's also language in there that I think I highlighted about reviewing yearly. I don't know whether you want to do it annually or not, but you certainly can.
Well, bylaws annually. No, I would say no. I would say no, but
maybe every other year. I think we should have something in there that would like obligate us to review them.
Yes, not
every year might be.
I put every policy and your bylaws in front of you at least once every 3 years. That's not a written policy. That's just the way I do it. There is one, it's the collection development policy, I think. Legally, you have to review every 2 years. That's Illinois state law. But everything else I try to put in front of you at a minimum of every 3 years. Or if something comes up and we say, this isn't working.
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily like want to draw this out forever, but I would like to see it in there before we take it to the full board, because I think there will be too many questions at the full board since we wouldn't have seen it before
I think
then.
that's just good practice, is just don't vote on something that you haven't actually
Yeah.
seen until,
Yeah. Carl, you have any comments?
I thought I was muted there for a second. Yeah, well, the requirement of having us go over the bylaws, obviously we should have a general idea of what, like you said, what our situation is. Though yearly is maybe a bit much. So I said 3, 2, 3 in that wheelhouse.
And I mean, like, you're going to have new members, probably new board members constantly. So, I mean, I don't know. I feel like every couple years might be more. I don't know. Or, I mean, 3 is fine because I know you're going to bring it to us anyway.
2's fine. Whatever you guys want. But as I let me just make sure that I know exactly what you expect me to get done here. What I hear you saying is that you like that draft, but we do want to restore the responsibilities of the trustees, the rules for electronic participation, the rules for public comment, the grounds for removal, but we're okay with leaving out enumerated duties as city librarian. Aside from what's already up here, there are a few things just really general. And then records of the board, we're okay with leaving out.
Yes.
So the other, then there were those couple of things that I pointed out there. I think May 1st is correct. Do you want the secretary to be responsible for distribution, collection, tabulation of forms used in the annual executive director's evaluation? I should change that to city librarian's evaluation. Or do you want the PPR chair or the president or who?
I would like I don't know.
Who currently does it?
Susan.
I did it this
Yeah.
week.
Susan did it.
It's changed, from year to year. It's changed, and we don't have to. Maybe that can even be struck.
Well, because I do want to have someone, but I don't know that I want it to be the PPPR. Like, I wonder if that could be an ad hoc kind of an ad hoc job that is assigned, just like the Friends and the Library Foundation.
But then it's like you're kind of spreading duties, so it's not
Yes.
one person.
Right.
If you could just suggest some language to me, Samantha, send me an email on that, and
Yep.
and I'll get it in there. The other thing I had, I struck this about the city finance officer, but I put in the notes at the bottom. I think we all agreed that it's been really helpful having our city treasurer as a board member, but he can't stay a board member forever.
Right.
And boy, it might be interesting to have him as an ex officio board member and advisor, but I don't know whether it can be done. It's not just up to us. We can't decide and tell the city that you have to. But if you want me to pursue that, I can pursue that.
I'd wonder what Greg has to say about that.
Exactly. That's where I'd start and ask him how he felt and see what he thinks. Before I go to the city manager, I would ask him. And I'll change this committee scheduling language. And I Remove all
Uh,
references to a board calendar.
The only other thing is that I saw is number 5 on the first page of this. So provide and maintain adequate facilities. So we don't own the building and we don't own or we don't currently maintain it, but we do want to have some, I don't know what we would put there, but I don't know that that's because we don't own the building, but it is our job to find a house for the library if we need to.
Obtain adequate facilities or
Yeah, it's all about wordsmithing that. I mean, I think we all agree that it means that you guys have to ensure that there's a place for an actual physical space for the library.
Yes, and that I agree with that. I just don't know that this particular phrase is right for our situation.
Oh, and let me think on that, and if anybody has any suggested language. And I took out the ensure a representative selection of library materials because I kind of think that's library staff's responsibility.
That's not our job.
The other thing that we didn't talk about is the indemnity stuff. Kate, I'm really interested in your opinion on that.
yeah, I know that that language like this is seen in like not-for-profit organization bylaws typically. I know as city employee, like governmental employees are typically held. There's a whole like area of law about the liability of government employees and whether they can be held liable. So I'm not, short answer, I'm not entirely sure whether we need this or we should strike it. I'm not sure. I would have to look more into that.
Well,
you do see that in a lot of bylaws though. I mean, especially if you have employees.
We've never had it, and
Yeah.
I know that there is some. Greg is also the city's risk manager, and I know that he's indicated when we've talked to him in the past that we all have some degree of indemnification insurance.
Right.
So I don't know, but this almost, the way this was drafted, almost seemed like it's we're indemnified against the city coming after us, is the way that the Oak Parks reads to me
Yeah.
So, but I guess this says if any claim or action is not covered by insurance or ordinance. I don't know.
Yeah, it looks like, if there's a claim brought against an employee, it's not covered by your current indemnity insurance, or it's not covered by the city, then then it looks like we could, take responsibility for it and litigate it and everything. Because typically if you're covered by insurance, your insurer is going to handle all the litigation for you. So this looks like if it's not covered by our insurance, then we can choose to do that.
I got it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
I don't know if it's necessary for us.
The last suit that was brought against, there was an injury back when we owned the property. And the suit started, I was sued, every individual on the board was sued, the board itself was sued, the library itself was sued, the city was sued, everybody was sued. And, the judge said, okay, here's who you can sue.
Right.
And then the city attorney, as our insurer, the city is our insurer, settled with the plaintiff.
Yeah, that's how I would expect it to go. If that's who's insuring us, then I don't really think this is necessary.
Okay, I didn't think it was either, but I'm happy to run it by it'd be interesting to see what our risk manager, Mr. Zentera, says.
And if that's.
It doesn't hurt to also put or at least put a clause in there that we're covered by the city as their insurer to protect against, for board, errors and omissions and.
Right. And I don't think I don't recall that being in our
It's not.
current.
Which is why I asked you when I think somebody had asked me about that, and I had asked you because I didn't see it in there. So
So what I'll maybe bounce it off Greg in between now and then in the next meeting.
okay,
And then I'll bring, we,
And I mean, I didn't really look too much into it, so I can look some more into it. Maybe have a better opinion next time.
okay,
well, I think I'm clear on what you guys want.
okay. So I will take a motion to table the bylaws until next time when we have a new draft.
So move.
All right, we need a second.
Second?
All right, so Kate,
Yes.
Carl,
Yes.
Susan.
Yes.
And Samantha, yes. Okay, that is tabled. So city librarians' professional goals for 2021.
I love your background, Robert.
I know Natalie Portman's eyes are just like drilling
Yeah.
me into my soul.
It's captivating. There you go.
Gotta get to that page. Okay, there we go. So professional goals, workplace culture, develop or adopt employee engagement and/or culture survey and implement said surveys. Workplace culture, develop plan to address any issues found. Timeliness, he's got it up there. So now we have it up there. So advocacy. So I know we had talked about this last time. So initial thoughts. I think this addresses a lot of the things we talked about.
Yeah, they're very concrete.
The only thing I would say, like, does number 2 have to be a separate goal, or is it like part of number 1? It's just a question.
Yeah, fair question.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
it's kind of like a step 1, number 1, and then step.
Mhm.
And I've been thinking about it backwards, and that's kind of why because I've been working on how to fix the culture without, measuring it first. So in some ways it was just for my own, to clarify my own thinking.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can just put it into a 1A and a 1B or, oops, what happened?
And Rick, under number 4, advocacy C, what is this week at the Decatur Public Library?
Well, it's something I used to do, and I would send to city council, board, and foundation board and friends board. I would
County
send every Friday. I didn't send to the county board, so that's why it broadened beyond city council. Hence, broadened beyond city council. But I would just send a list of events in the coming week. I think probably weekly weekly might be overkill. Maybe it should be done monthly. And right now there's not a lot going on. So I kind of intend that for once, programming gets rolling properly again. But I think still monthly right now would be, there are some things going on. We do have some programming, a really interesting program yesterday with a former CIA agent. So that was kind of cool.
I went to the cookbook class, or the Spice Club. That's
Spice
what it
Club.
was. Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea, but maybe monthly would be.
Yeah, I think people, I go
You don't
back
want to
and forth.
annoy people.
I go back and forth on this. I think if you send too much, you eventually become ignored. And I almost wonder if even a regular, maybe it should just be, you send it out about really special programs, but then you go, okay, who's to decide who's going to be interested in what? I think monthly would probably be
Mhm.
fine. And we already do a monthly newsletter, and maybe that's what it is. Maybe we just make sure that we get that, we think a little bit more broadly about who we're putting on that. And right now it's an opt-in kind of thing. Well, it was an opt-in. Now we turned it into opt-out, but maybe we need to add, the governmental bodies in town, and Congressman Davis and our state representatives, and maybe we just need to just broaden it a little bit more.
So, I mean, I don't want to put I don't know about it, like more work, but for you, but I mean, so while like sending events is helpful for the personal, like for them personally, like if they were interested in attending, even if you wrote a little short paragraph of like, here's all the cool things we've done the last month, or like highlights of things, similar to like our, way shorter, like a little blurb of, kind of like your city librarian's report.
So a recap.
Yeah, I just like, these are some really cool things we've done at the library this month. And then here's some upcoming events. Just to kind of like, so you're giving that, like, obviously the first one, you won't have your, like, you could still just do the past events, but then you would talk about the future events. So then if they're interested, then they could participate next month, or just a super quick, here are some cool things that we did last month at the library. I know it's more work than just copying and pasting.
Well, but none of it's really not that hard. I guess it's just it kind of became I kind of felt it was falling on deaf ears. And I know there's a couple of ways to think about it, and one is that if you overdo it, it's going to fall on deaf ears. But the other way of thinking about it is there's very little cost to it, including labor. I mean, and if somebody chooses to ignore it, that's fine. But they can't say that they haven't been told.
Well, the whole point is to try to get people who are in power to know kind of more about what we do.
Exactly. Not even necessarily participate. That's not, to me, the goal. It'd be great if they want to, but just to at least raise the awareness.
Yes.
And I'm open to other suggestions too. I mean, these are just a few that we talked about at the last full board meeting.
Does it come from your email, or would it come from another?
Well, the way we did it before, it came from my library email.
Because I think that is also like more impactful too. I mean, having it come from you directly, it's, so, because then they can reply back to you directly like, oh, that's, really cool. Or,
yeah, but some did. And at first a lot of people did. And then it just stopped because, it's just human nature. It's, I've got I spend a lot of my Monday morning, I had 611 emails after, being off, and I spent a lot of my Monday morning unsubscribing,
Saturday.
Kate, you gotta go.
Yeah, I've got to head out.
Yep. You're good to go.
Okay.
We'll
Well,
see you
thank
next
you,
time.
everybody.
So whatever you guys, I mean, I'm open to other suggestions, but I know that this is something that you guys want, and I wonder if one full week is ever going to happen for a variety of reasons. I mean, like the financial information is not up to date sometimes until a day or two before the finance committee meeting, and sometimes the books are closed the Friday after they meet. But I think it's a pretty good goal, the 1 week in advance, and if it's a.
I mean, I would be honestly, and I know I haven't responded to you in a timely manner, like on Friday, or if you send me the agenda on Friday, I haven't responded. I don't always have my email up while I'm working. So, but even if it's by Monday, because then that gives us, for the exception of Friday.
Well, Samantha, what Samantha's talking about is I don't usually send it out until I get approval of the agenda from the committee chair and or the board president. But what I can do and have before is send out the whole packet and just say that the agenda is still subject to change, and because you have the right to change it until 48 hours before the meeting.
Right.
So I could just send it out as my draft. And
yeah, I mean, I think it's helpful because, I mean, honestly, if I got it a week before, that gives me that weekend to kind of look at it, and especially if there's a lot of stuff going on. But honestly, I mean, I looked at it today for this meeting. So just because.
Well, you guys mentioned it, or a few people mentioned it in my evaluation, but I've also, as I've been, I guess almost a year now on the Illinois Library Association board, and I can tell you that, I've had 150 page packets dropped like 2 or 3 days before the board meeting, and it's. I don't feel prepared, and I just, I don't want to put you guys in the same. I don't want to put you guys in that position. Now that I'm, you want board members, or should want board members that are fully prepared to participate and discuss it in a manner in which, but you don't have time if you've got a short time to read it all.
Yeah, and you're not going to have.
Sometimes it's not much, but sometimes it is.
Well, and you're not going to have meaningful conversations either. Like if you're not prepared. So, I mean, I think it is a good goal.
I think maybe like 3 to 5 days is a really good period.
Yeah.
So what, so for like 3 to 5 business days or 3 to 5 calendar days?
That's where things will get, I guess, a bit hairy, since they'll usually meet on Thursdays and things like that. So you have to account for the weekend. But I don't know, whatever it seems most feasible. I guess it wouldn't necessarily be a set policy goal. I guess that'd be the goal there is 3 to 5 days. So.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard city council members say that they don't get the packet till Thursday when there's a Monday meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, so it's not a law. I know it's a policy because it was like an issue of contention with the Springfield City Council and also the Decatur City Council. So they'll have a meeting on Monday. They have to have their packets by the end of business day on Friday. So.
Yeah, and that's, to me, those packets are huge compared to ours.
Yeah.
That's a lot to absorb, and hopefully that, the elected official has some idea prior to that about what's going to be discussed and what's going on. But
Right.
I think it's feasible.
Yeah. I think a good goal is a week would be Thursday of the prior week for most of our meetings, or Wednesday. But I mean, like you said, with the financial documents, at least if you had the agenda done and then the financial documents would, I don't know.
And I have most of the financial information. I have most of it. Like today on April 1st, I can pull all the financial information from March, and it might be exactly what is when they close it. They'll probably close it on tomorrow's second, on the 9th. They'll probably close the books on the 9th, and there may not be a single difference in between what's in there today. And when there is a difference, it's usually pretty minor. it's a check
Yeah.
that, you know, they just hadn't gotten in the books yet or something, or we make a switch between.
It could just be subject to change, like you said, you know, and then maybe note the changes that are made, you know, between.
It's actually probably easier to get the financial stuff together than the
This one?
policy stuff. A lot easier.
Yeah. Okay, so I think we're good. Do we want to take these to the full board and recommend them? Okay, so I will take a motion to recommend the
I'll
goals.
move. I'll move.
Second.
All right, so Carl,
Yeah.
Susan,
Yes.
Samantha, yes. Since there's only 3 of us, like there's not much discussion. So workplace discrimination, harassment, violence, and retaliation policy, and the sexual harassment. Sorry, I got those out of order, but they're the same issue.
I did talk to Chris today, and he will have a document prepared for us that combines all of these and is up to date with all the new legal. He thinks what we have is in compliance with the law, but there's some new language that refers to elected officials. It doesn't apply to us, but he recommends that we combine it all into one policy and make it more library oriented, because one second policy on the list, we've just adopted the city's policy. So he will have a document for us. What my question to you is, do we have the faith that if he gets it to me Tuesday, are you guys okay with me just bringing it to the full board, considering it's from council?
Yeah.
Or do you want me to bring it back to the committee next month?
I mean, if he gets it done by Tuesday next week and we have a chance to review it ahead of time, the full board has a chance to review it ahead of time, I don't see why not. Susan, Carl?
Why would it be different than the city's policy? Why don't we just, why haven't we just adopted the city's policy?
I can forward you Chris's thoughts on that. We have adopted the city's policy. What brought this up is their policy changed. So I'm like, and Chris, our attorney, had back in 2019, 2018, had said, we probably should make these into one policy. And didn't happen. And so, but I can forward you forward you the whole string of discussion on that so you can have.
Yeah, I was just curious because we tend to be kind of umbrella of the city, and we do adopt city policy on, some things, so.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was just curious.
Yeah, I'm waiting for my email to come up, but I can I'll read you the pertinent sections and then just forward you the string.
Okay. So then I will should be able to take a motion to table these 2 items on the agenda.
Why, I guess I'll move.
Second.
Okay. So Susan,
Yes.
Carl,
Yes.
Samantha, yes. Okay, so we're going to table that till the next one. So diversity, equity, and inclusion. We have a meeting next week, right, Robert?
Yes, we did. I sent out an email to Christina to meet next week. So I haven't heard back yet. So it looks Carol's doodle poll sort of got the input on the best days for everyone. So it looks like it's next Wednesday. So that'll as soon as I hear back from her, then we'll know which way to go. Also had a couple of had an opportunity to look at some grants. So we're looking into still. I started with the ALA and the ILA opportunities, and of course most of the grants.gov they're going to be matching, and the federal funds there's a lot of reporting, and I'm not sure if it'd be worth it for this. So that's sort of the direction we're moving to now.
Great. Just watching Carl. So, all right. So is there any other discussion? So, all right. Well, I will take a motion to adjourn.
Okay, I'll move.
Are you seconding? I didn't hear you.
Seconding, sorry.
Okay. All right. So Carl,
Yes.
Susan,
Yes.
and Samantha, yes. All right. We'll adjourn at 5:25. I'll see